Hello students, good evening. Today we will learn about the preface of the lyrical ballads. What is lyrical ballad? The preface of the lyrical ballad. Actually, it is 23 poems collection. It is written by Astrid Coleridge and Wordsworth. It is a collection of 23 poems. 19 poems were written by Wordsworth and 4 poems are written by Astrid Coleridge. The Ream of the Ancient Mariner, it is also a lyrical ballad. It is also written by Astrid Coleridge. There are 4 editions. The first edition was published in 1798. The second edition was published in 1800. And the third edition was published in 1802. And the fourth edition was published in 1805. So these editions, one by one, they published. But in the first edition, there was no preface. Without preface, they published. So many criticize it because of without preface you can't publish. So William Wordsworth, he was the victim during the time, and the romantic movement was started after the lyrical ballads in English literature. Here, William Wordsworth, he always believes to write very easy style. He does not believe hard style. And, he was a nature poet. He believes in nature. And there is one, quotation you must know that according to Wordsworth, poetry is a spontaneous overflow of feelings. Sometimes, when the feelings come, the theory of the poetry, he says, when the feelings comes, you should express your feelings. So here, Wordsworth always believed nature, and he always tried to write about on nature. But that time, there was a trend of hard words. The poets, they were writing in a hard way, they were using hard words, but in opposite, we can see that the Wordsworth, he believes in easy style. So he was against to those poets that who were writing in a hard language, because why William Wordsworth does not believe this hard style, because of nobody can understand. General people can't understand. But if a poet will write in the easiest way, so from the top to the bottom, the general people or the rational people can understand. But if the poet, they will use very hard words, so the rational people who are very much intelligent and rational, they can understand only, but not the lower or the bottom people, they can understand. So his thinking was very much, effective, because he was believe in effective writing, not in complicated writing or in hard style. And, he does not believe in figures of speech. He does not use, and he was not using metaphor, simile, onomatopoeia. He was not using, because of if he will use, people can't understand. The general people will not understand. So he always focused on his style, not the hard style. Here we can see that T.S. Eliot, his writing is very much hard. We can see in the Wasteland, every lines are very much hard. Nobody can understand because of its hard style. But we can understand if a poet will use hard words, complicated words. So we can understand that what type of person he is or she is. So during that time, the poet, they were writing in hard style, but here you can see that Wordsworth, he was going in a very easiest way. His mood was different, his style was different, he was a unique person. That's why during that age too. Here also we can see in the Wasteland, The style is very much hard. You can't understand a single line. I can say that you can't understand a single line. It's very much hard language he was using. Here it is also, if we see that the prose and poetry. So here also William Wordsworth, he says that the poetry, the prose and poetry, there is no difference between prose and poetry, only such words, different words, but the style is very much same. So there is no difference between the poetry and prose. Here William Wordsworth also gave an example of Thomas Gray, of his sonnet, because the poetic diction, we should not use poetic diction instead of marriage. So poetic diction, there are many examples, there are many rules and regulations. In meter there are no such rules and regulations. It's very easy to use. So poetic diction, if you will use in poem, it will be very much hard for you to understand for writing. So meter, if a poet he will use, it's very easy to write and the general people can understand. He also says that poetry is more powerful than science. Yeah, because if a scientist, if he will invent any invention, he will only get pleasure himself. He can get pleasure alone. But if a poet writes, he will feel himself, and if a reader, if he will read, he will also get pleasure, happiness. So he says poetry is more powerful than science. And as I said before, there is the theory of poetry. In theory of poetry, if you have feelings, there must be a way to express your feelings. So he says that by writing, you can express your feelings. If you will not express your feelings, there is no other chance to explain your feelings. So he says that if you want to show your thoughts, your love, your inner mood, if you want to show that, you should write. The only way to show your feelings. That's why before I told that poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. You don't need to express words. You don't need to go here and then to see the words. It comes itself, it comes automatically, spontaneously. The word comes and the poet writes. Here Wordsworth says that how you will write poetry. So according to Wordsworth, there are four types, there are four sections you can write the poetry. First one is observation. If you want to write, observe the things, observe the situation, observe the conditions of the people. First thing. Second thing, recollection. You should collect all the material, and then you should filter. The third one is filtering. If you will filter, then from five concepts, from five matter, from five aspects, you can choose one or two, and then you can write in poetry. And the fourth one is creation of poetry, to give a shape to your poetry. So by this four way you can write poetry. So it is the preface of the lyrical ballad according to William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge. They have written in their fourth edition. Thank you very much. Thanks to all. Bye bye.